We got Michigan State versus UConn, Tom Izzo versus Dan Hurley in the Sweet 16. What better matchup would you want? You got two great coaches, two great programs. UConn currently a 1.5 point favorite in this game. Going to be a late night game, about 9:45 at this point on Friday. Liam, how are you feeling about this game, this Sweet 16 matchup in Washington, D.C.?
I said to you pre-recording that there's no opponent you would feel that good about right now, unless like Furman made the run through UConn and UCLA. So feeling about as good as you can. I mean, you don't love the fact that you're playing a team that's won two of the last three natties and with the same coach.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, to go far in this tournament, you got to beat good teams. And if there's someone that knows that, it's Tom Izzo. And if there's someone he's trying to teach that to, it's guys like Jeremy Fears, Cohen Carr, Carson Cooper, Jackson Kohler, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, I'm not like scared. Like, obviously, there's
Yeah.
the scared part that, yeah, Michigan State season, it could end in 48 hours pretty easily. But there's also like, you're, it's going to be a good game, and you just got to trust that the Spartans are going to find a way.
Yeah. I think really the scariest part is obviously the name, the coach, and just kind of the
Yeah.
potential that this UConn team has because we've seen this UConn team play very well throughout the season. Michigan State even had a scrimmage against them earlier on in the season before it even started, lost by 7 without obviously like Terrace Reed, a couple other guys. So obviously, I think both of these teams are a little bit different since then. But like you see that this UConn team can be very, very good. Terrace Reed against Furman was just automatic out there. I don't know if I've ever seen a performance like that, but this is also as a UConn team that isn't performing at its highest right now. I don't know if you can say MSU is technically either. I think this is a matchup if you're Michigan State where you're like, you're not scared of it, but like there's that potential there. There's a couple matchups in here that we'll talk about that I think MSU is really going to have to worry about. I think one of those is obviously Alex Caravan.
Yeah, I mean, Caravan is looking to win his third natty in college, and
Yeah,
I don't know the exact number statistics on how many people have done that, but it can't be too many. So you're talking
no,
about a guy that's experienced and coming off obviously a 27-point outing on what was that, Sunday?
yeah.
But and before that he had 22 against Furman. But you look at the games before that and he struggled a little bit. He went shot at only 37% those two games against St. John's and Georgetown. So it'll be interesting to see who's matched up with them. I mean, I quickly go to Cohen in my mind and kind of just think he could follow him around pretty well. And yeah, so Caravan, it's a tough matchup. Terrace
Yeah.
Reed, you're familiar with from his days at Michigan. Now, both of Michigan State's bigs that play primarily, Cooper and Kohler, and Reed too, are obviously
Yep.
different players than they were 2 years ago. But there's a little bit of familiarity there, and you don't expect a player to replicate 27 rebounds, obviously, but then he even had 13 against
No.
UCLA. You don't expect a player to replicate that against a Michigan State team, and the coaching staff has harped on that all week. I guess it's only been like half a week, but they've been on their guys, and if you can hold Terrace Reed to 7 rebounds, that's a win, and you're going to win the
Yeah.
rebounding battle. So I think honestly, State matches up pretty well. Again, I mean, it's just good on good at this point in the tournament,
Yeah.
across the board. So yeah, I've got no complaints really. I think you see Cohen on Caravan a lot of the time. Sometimes Jordan, probably.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even know. Maybe no, I don't know. Probably those two primarily. I was gonna say, but yeah,
Yeah, I was just going to say maybe a little bit of Cam Ward
that's
possibly
who I was just
on
gonna say.
Caravan.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I just don't know
I
how
was just,
if Izzo would like him guarding out on the perimeter, like because Caravan's a
yeah.
40% 3-point shooter, and I love Cam, but he's still young, and I feel like that's learning how to guard all areas of the floor. I feel like it's something that comes in your development with Izzo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously, like Cam Ward has had a little bit of foul troubles as well, especially against guys that are really good coming off of screens. Just overall kind of foul trouble there. Obviously, I think Izzo's going to throw probably multiple different guys at Carabin. And then obviously, you mentioned Terrace Reed, right? Like, you really truly have to trust, like, Carson Cooper and Jackson Cole. I would be a little interested to see if MSU goes a little bit kind of smaller, a little bit maybe more of like kind of like a true five and maybe like a Ward out of four, like a
Yeah.
Cohen out of four. I would be a little interested to see if that happens a little bit more often. But for me, I think really my biggest concern is that you have guys like Braylon Mullins, who has been really struggling. Guys like Demery, who has been really struggling. I don't think he's obviously 100%. They haven't been great recently. And I don't know about you, but it always seems like historically with guys that haven't been playing great, they go up against Michigan State and start hitting shots. Like that's really my biggest concern is that we're going to do what you need to do against Carabin. You're going to do what you need to do against Terra Street. And then there's going to be someone like a Mullins or a Demery or maybe even a solo ball that will go off on Michigan State, which will make it even that much more frustrating because these are three guys that have been struggling recently for UConn.
Yeah, Demery was actually a guy I wanted to talk about. You know, coming from Georgia, um, scored like 14 a game last year at Georgia, transferred up to UConn, around 10 a game this year, but obviously on a much more evenly talented roster. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, he's the guy who shot it at 40% from the year. Now he's only taken 79 of them, which isn't a ton, but you know, that's over two a game. So you just don't want any of these dudes to, yeah, like you said, get hot. And solo ball,
yeah,
for whatever reason, is shooting the ball drastically worse than he did last year. Like he shot at
yeah,
41% from deep last year. He was a sniper. And this year he's his 3-point percentage starts with a 2 out front of it at 29. So
which is
again,
crazy.
yeah, it is. Like, how in the world do you drop 12%? But that means there's a 41% 3-point shooter in there somewhere. And
Yeah,
you don't want to let that guy start sparking, and I haven't even gotten to Mullins yet. Mullins is a guy who, I guess he's not always looking to shoot the ball when he catches it, but he looks like he can shoot the ball. Like he has the ability to if the
yeah,
game dictates that opportunity. So yeah, you just, as like with any team, you don't want to let guys get hot.
yeah,
Like with Conwell against Louisville, and he ended up scoring like 20, but even Izzo touched on it in like his press conference that a couple of them came late, and Cohen did a great job the majority of the time. Like if you just can limit an explosive game, make them play as a team, make them play to our pace, which they kind of do anyways. But
yeah,
let's put it this way: it doesn't look like I'm on paper, obviously, but it doesn't seem like a matchup where Michigan State's in danger of getting blown out. You know, so
no,
and that's always kind of what can keep you relaxed, I guess, knowing you've got Izzo, who's, I mean, honestly, he might not even be the best coach in this game, but he's still as experienced as anybody ever in the tournament. So he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
He's going to have adjustments to make if we go down 8 early, go down 10, and you kind of just got to stay the course.
Yeah, I really truly do think it's going to be a game of chess between both of these coaches. If you have two coaches in the entire country that is really good at making adjustments throughout the game, I think Tom Izzo and Dan Hurley are two of the best, right? Obviously, Dan Hurley's won two national championships for a reason. Obviously, they're a team that has always been really good, and they're a team full of a ton of talent. full of All-Americans, full of guys that have shown that they can be really good. And you mentioned Silas Demery. We can talk a little bit more about him. Is he wasn't great against UCLA, and I don't think he's 100% healthy, and I truly do wonder if that's going to be something that Izzo's going to kind of test out pretty early, because the one thing that MSU obviously loves to do, and the one kind of quote unquote motto that we've mentioned, everyone kind of talks about, is defend, rebound, run. Right. And if Silas Demery is now 100% and he's going up against Jeremy Fears is going to run him off the floor, like physically. Right. Like if he's not 100%, if he can't run really, really well, good luck trying to stay up with Jeremy Fears. Good luck to try to stay up with this offense. So I do wonder if Izzo kind of tests that early to see like how Silas is doing. And I do wonder if Dan kind of notices if things aren't going well there. Maybe he kind of goes back to solo ball. Maybe he goes back to a couple other guys that have been playing a little bit more. But obviously, with a week off, basically, maybe Silas gets close to 100%. Maybe he can run. But I do wonder if that's something MSU tries to take advantage of pretty early on to see how healthy Silas and that ankle is.
Yeah, I think it would be malpractice to not if you're MSU. I don't know. I don't see why you wouldn't put pressure
Yeah,
on pressure points for UConn, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But yeah, I mean, again, going back to just looking at a matchup and your initial feelings, the thing for Michigan State fans that they're lucky to have right now is that they are going to have a point guard advantage in every single game. And
yeah,
I might have touched on this on the show before, earlier in the regular season, but it becomes more apparent in March. And when you have a guy that's going to distribute the ball, probably won't get 16 assists on Friday, but who says he can't? You know, he's going to go 3 for
exactly.
13 from the field and still absolutely control the game this past Saturday. Um, Guys ascending like Cohen and Kohler giving you a 10 and 6, Coop pouring in 9 and 5. And then you don't even need to touch. We haven't even touched on the accessories yet with Tang and Trey Fort, who we've been calling on all year, literally all year on this podcast.
Yeah,
What was the game we asked? Was that his game? Oh, the Minnesota game. Nah, I don't
yeah.
think we did a recap because I
I
don't
was just
know.
gonna say there was like a game where like is this going to truly be his game? And I think really
We
the answer was
we said it on
last game,
here. Yeah, no,
right?
100% it was last game.
Yeah,
But yeah, man. I mean, the most points he scored since Minnesota, and the most points since Cornell,
yeah.
which tells
Most
you,
minutes too, 19 minutes as
yeah,
well, like
yeah. I
in an
mean,
NCAA tournament game.
yeah, his minutes last 3 games of the regular season, 4, 9, and 3. These 3 postseason games, including the UCLA loss in the Big Ten tournament, he's gone 13, 12, and now 19. So again, and if you've seen the interview clips with him, he's got a great attitude. You know, Kerr is going to come off the bench ready to catch and let him fly. Cam is going to
Yeah,
bring energy, a physical presence. You know, it's going to be what you've seen all year from Michigan State. That's the beauty of it. There's no surprise. Like, what's the surprise if Cooper
no,
goes for 20 and 10? Oh, guess what? He just did that against North Dakota State. Like, what's the
yeah,
surprise? Kohler hits 3 threes? No, he was doing that all December and January. So I think that's the fun part about this team is it's surprising because you never know what you're going to get, but you know all these guys are capable of changing a game, like literally, and being the
absolutely.
difference between a 2-point loss and a 2-point win. So I
Yeah.
think, I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be relatively low scoring, and you're just going to rely on the depth, the experience, and see what happens in those last 5 minutes because I can't imagine it's more than a 2 possession game at the 5 minute mark.
Yeah, no, I would be a little surprised at that point. It's one of those things like you're kind of going back to like who's going to be the guy that's going to step up, who's going to be the guy that's going to truly like score you and make plays, and obviously Jeremy Fears has that been that for Michigan State all year.
Oh
But
yeah.
like Kurt Tang, like he can come in and be instant offense. He can hit shots. Obviously, Trey Ford, Cam Ward has had great moments, great games throughout the season. I think that could be a really kind of big indicator, especially early on, because if you really think about it, sometimes MSU's best games this year are games that Cam Ward is pretty efficient early and often for MSU. Like the games like MSU beat Arkansas, right? Cam Ward had an absolutely monster game. Cam Ward has had minutes. He's had games throughout this year where he's been really that impactful guy. And if Jackson Kohler comes in, hits some shots early on, if Carson Cooper can win the matchup against Terrace Reed, in my opinion, if he does that, it would be really hard for UConn to win unless Alex Caravan goes off. Like if you have Jeremy Fears and Carson Cooper winning their matchups, unless Alex Caravan goes off for 30, which he's absolutely capable of doing, I'm not saying he's not, like you would feel pretty good if you're MSU.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many guys that can be X factors, and Cam is absolutely one of them. And you just gotta hope that it shows up, it comes together, and if he comes off the bench and plays like Arkansas or like North Dakota State, even
Yeah.
you feel great if you're in the green and white on Friday night, and all of a sudden you're looking ahead to whoever won the game before.
Yeah. Which is obviously exactly where you want to be. You want to be in the Elite Eight. Obviously, that's the goal. Izzo talked a little bit about that after, obviously, their last game, where it's like, hey, get us through the next couple and we'll get you beyond that. And obviously, you can't necessarily look beyond the Sweet 16 because this is a really
Yeah.
good UConn team. Obviously, they're a favorite for a reason. But like, this is like a matchup that we've been saying where it, in my opinion, doesn't necessarily scare you for the most part. Like it can get really scary. UConn can put up points. UConn can be good defensively. But like if you look on paper, you're feeling pretty all right with this matchup.
Yeah. No, 100%. And it's going to be a classic probably. And it better not end up like that bullshit in 2023 where they have some guy just making circus shots and running trick plays with a minute left in overtime of a Sweet 16 game and throwing no look alley oops.
Yeah.
I might never
Notice
watch
no
basketball
Noel.
again. Yeah, we're not doing that again.
Yeah.
We're not
But
doing that
speaking of
again.
which, what's your what's your prediction in this one? Is it going to be a classic? Is it going to be close? Is MSU going to cover 1.5 point spread for UConn?
Yeah, I really think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be it just screams 70-66 to me, and I'm going to go Michigan State. But I
Love it.
genuinely think it's going to be maybe 66-66 late or 64 is late, and State gets a bucket. They don't answer, they foul. Maybe they get one, then foul again. It's over. But I think it will be within one possession. I said 2 at 5. I think it'll be within one with like 3 minutes to go. And it's going to be one of those games where it's not going to be a whole lot of fun watching, but if it
No.
if you end up on the good side of it, it'll be worth it in the end. So, but
Yeah.
that's really all you can hope for with this tournament, and
Oh
especially
yeah.
with the way everybody like the chalk madness is it's being called this year. Like, yeah, it sucks on day one. Like everyone loves to see the 14, 15s win, but the good thing is as you get deeper, the games just get better and better. And it really is
Exactly.
the best 16 teams. I mean, maybe not technically, but probably 16 of the 22 best teams in the country. So
Yeah.
it's just going to be, it's going to be a classic. I really do think.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. It's going to be one of those games where probably every single fan, Michigan State fans, UConn fans, will probably be sitting on their edge of their seats, just hoping that they somehow advance to the league. I also think it's going to be a classic. I also think it's going to be a close game. I'll go a little bit higher scoring. I'll go like 70. 74-71, Michigan State. I think MSU wins by 3. Maybe we'll get a similar play to MSU Duke, a little kind of throwback to 2019 and a possible rematch of 2019
I was gonna
depending
say, I
on what
think we
happens
saved
after
that.
there.
I think we saved that for the Elite Eight, if you know what I mean.
Possibly. But yeah, we will never know. Any last things that you want to talk about, want to mention before we kind of wrap up here?
No, except I thought I was going under the total with 70-66, and it's even lower. It's 134. But no, I think. All right, now I'm actually after this preview. I said at the open I'm not that scared, and now I'm a little scared of just like the emotions in the last like 10 minutes of the game. But no,
Yeah,
it'll be great if you're go to bed early, set the alarm clock a bit later, stay up and watch it. It'll be worth your time, and
absolutely.
hopefully it ends up being doubly worth your time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously, no matter what happens, we will be back on to discuss it. If MSU wins, Liam will probably be back on. If MSU does not, it'll probably just me. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure to tune in to the recap of this game. Enjoy the game as well. Going to be a great game overall. But thanks for
Need it.
joining, Liam. Really
Yeah,
excited
go
for this.
green.
So absolutely go white. Thanks everyone for tuning in and tune in to the next episode.